so I'm so excited to kind of share what Some is, what we're doing, because I feel
Yes,
like a lot of people know about Some, but they don't really know the background. A lot of people think we're closed, but we're not. We're just, changing the
going to
business.
online. Yeah.
Yeah, so I hope that my information can help a lot of other business owners who went through a similar situation
Mhm.
as me, operating a storefront and things like that. So, how are you?
Um, I'm pretty good. Yeah, thank you.
Of course.
So, yes, before Hawaii, you lived in
Yeah,
Seattle, right?
yeah,
And you had here a
yeah,
retail store with K-pop fashion clothing.
yeah. Pay attention.
Yes, and
Yeah, yeah.
actually, let's talk about the story behind
Mm.
being a store owner here
Mm-hmm.
in Seattle and
Mm-hmm.
having a local business here. So
Yeah.
for the beginning, I just is the person who doesn't know what is K-pop fashion.
Uh-huh.
Can you
Yeah.
tell me what's this? Just brief
Yeah.
short story.
Yes, great question. So actually, a lot of people think K fashion is like Korean pop fashion, right? Like all the
Yes,
Korean singers and things like that. Or some people
right.
think, yeah, Korean fashion is just, fashion from Korea or only for Asian people. I think there's a lot of question marks when it comes to this new genre of K fashion. But Korean fashion is literally just like street style. It's like a genre of clothing. You know how
Uh,
street style is like hip hop, it's skater fashion, it's like Vans, it's like a merge of different brands, but it's like a lifestyle, of street style, baggy clothes, snapbacks, hats like that. So it's just like a group of people who love street style made street style, right? So same thing with
yeah.
Korean fashion. Korean fashion is just a type of fashion, and it can be described as very Monday through Sunday. It's
Uh-huh.
very minimal. It's even like the shirt you're wearing. It's very minimal. It can be like styled in so many different ways. It's also described as like elevated basics. One of our customers also described Korean fashion as an off-duty model look. So
Uh-huh.
something that models would wear when they're not on the runway. So yeah, Korean fashion can be described as, minimal, elevated basics, and it's basically like a style of fashion that originated from Korea, but doesn't necessarily mean that it's all from Korea. So like we also carry brands like Pretty Garbage, which is very K fashion, but they're an LA based brand. So it's just a way of how you would describe a style. It's like Korean
I
style.
see. So it's not connected for K-pop, right? It's
So
separate.
yeah,
Ah,
we
I
definitely
see.
get inspiration from, Black, what they're wearing, but yeah, it's not. It's very. Everybody thinks it's like K-pop, K-fashion, but similar but different. I can appreciate
Okay.
that.
Thank you for clarification, because I literally thought that it was like connected with Blackpink
Yeah,
or other music girls, and so okay,
yeah,
now I am understand.
yeah,
Okay.
similar, different. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and you decided like a long time ago to
Uh,
open the retail store where
yes.
you sell
Hmm.
K fashion clothing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, how did you decide to open this retail store? Like,
Yes.
what was your motivation?
Yes, great question. I mean, I've always wanted to own a store of my own since I was like a little girl. That was always been my dream, and fashion has always been something that I thought was such a powerful tool because how you dress can really change your mood. If I dressed really nicely and even wore like a dress when I was a young girl, I felt super powerful and in my feminine power, even as a young girl. So I was like, wow, I love fashion and I really want my own store, but it's obviously not the easy thing to do. So I actually started out my entrepreneur journey as a personal stylist. So in 2016,
Mhm.
Some was actually named Some Styling Studio, and we literally had a 250 square foot shared office. It's called Regis on Dexter Street in South Lake Union. We literally rented a small office. I had stylist experience because I was a stylist at All Saints. So we made styling packages, posted online on a platform called Thumbtack. I'm not sure if you're
Mm-hmm.
familiar. Thumbtack is kind of like Upwork, or Fiverr. So we posted our personal styling services online and we got different customers. But we quickly realized that a lot of our customers and clients gravitated towards similar clothing, like because we would pull from different boutiques and stores, but the common denominator of what our clients liked were comfortable basics. So we're
Mm-hmm.
like, "Hey, all of our clients are buying the same type of clothes, why don't we just go to the main source and sell the clothes rather than going to different stores and getting it. So like, let's cut the middleman, go straight to the wholesale.
Yeah.
So that's like the business mindset. So we first attended the Magic Trade Show in Vegas, where we were able to see, thousands of wholesalers from all over the world, right? But mainly from like LA and New York. And then we started opening accounts. So things like elastic waist pants and joggers were super popular when I was styling. So I would go to the trade show and look for all the elastic joggers, and comfortable pants, open accounts, and then we were looking at retail spaces, and then
Mm-hmm.
we were able to have enough customers to generate a little bit of capital. And then we actually had our first store in 2018 in Capitol Hill on East Madison Street. And we didn't have the means to sign a commercial lease. So it was literally, how in Capitol Hill, there's like those lofts where you can just rent as an apartment, like a residential, but you can use it as a commercial. So
Mm-hmm.
like that's what we did in East
Yes.
Madison. Yeah, and then we did that for 1 year, and then we're like, okay, we tested it, and we're
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, with some fine tuning, we can definitely make this work. We just need a better location.
Uh-huh.
And then we got really lucky because some 303 at East Pike Street, that store,
Mm-hmm.
they were actually selling the unit. So we were able to actually buy the unit. Yeah,
Ooh.
that's how we ended up in some on 303 East Pike Street in summer of 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
So uh I just clarify. So you bought this place and
Mhm.
opened the store. You did not rent this, right?
Yeah, no, because rent, what I realized in the year before was overhead, is high, right? If I'm
Yes.
renting every month, I have to pay thousands of dollars plus labor costs plus insurance. So my kind of strategy is whatever overhead, reduce it. Whatever,
Mm,
money you want to put in needs to be an investment,
mm,
So I
yeah,
want to in this real estate because I'm paying HOA, because even if you own, you have to pay like homeowners association and
yeah.
property tax. But so I'm still paying, but if I sell the unit or if I lease it in the future, I'm still getting money back. So I was really smart with like, okay, if I'm going to spend money, I'm going to put it in somewhere where I can get it back. So
Mhm,
employees, the thing, like I spent a lot on labor cost, but employees, I give them, $5,000 a month, but they give me so much in return. So it's
mhm,
like a business. But I felt like just paying rent for a business that's, not proven to bring in so much foot traffic would be a lose. It's too much of a risk for me.
I
So yeah, I think for a lot of business owners out there, if your credit is good, if you can get, your parents to co-sign, if you are bringing
mm,
in, investors or, new co-founders, make sure before you just lease a unit, I would really, look into, can I buy this unit? You know what I mean? Yeah, I think
yeah,
that's a smart way to look at the grand scheme of things.
it's a interesting strategy,
It is
I
very, yeah.
yes, did you learn about this before, or how? Like,
I think my mom, she's, been a housewife majority of her life, but I think she was always into like real estate investment.
uh-huh.
So I think I always kind of like learned from her on how because she's so frugal, she's like typical Korean Asian woman, like saving everything, but she's so smart with like finding properties and things like that. So I think I kind of learned from her, like, if I'm gonna spend $1, spend it where I can get $2 back, or at least 150 back, what I mean. So yeah, and that's also the reason how we survived COVID, right?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
we were paying thousands of dollars every month to keep the
Mm-hmm.
store open. We were just, paying our monthly HOA, which obviously isn't as much. So that's how we were able to stay open during COVID as well.
If you're saying about before COVID and post-COVID, and then like post-COVID and prime times in Seattle, so
Uh-huh.
how did it affect the number of customers in the retail?
Yeah, so we actually were very unlucky because our store opened in 2019 summer. So like after everything, we bought it in June, but we had like our grand opening in September.
Mm-hmm.
So business is great. September, October, November, December, especially because holiday season was right there.
Yes.
So it was like doubling and then tripling. And so I was like, wow, like it's so
Mm-hmm.
successful without even me really like trying. And I guess I wasn't humble enough. So the universe was like, Suzy, we need to give you a reality check. And then until January, it was amazing. And then
Mm-hmm.
February is when it started slowing down. And then in March, we actually had a mandatory lockdown. So we had to close the store for like 5 months just because it was like an actual like mandatory lockdown, right? So that was hard. And we like got like a little bit of grant from the Washington state to just like keep afloat for our overhead. But
Mm-hmm.
after, I really used that time as like an incubator process. I really reached out to our previous customers that we met in
Yeah.
September, October, November, and December, and reached out to them. We had like private appointments, we had
Yes.
like events with masks on, and that
Mm-hmm.
this was the time, actually a blessing in disguise, was I was able to really get to know my Capitol Hill community
Mm-hmm.
through COVID, because everybody was, low and things like that. So unlucky in terms of, profit for 2020, but
Mm-hmm.
lucky in terms of really like connecting with my neighbors, my neighboring businesses, because we were all out here to help one another.
Mm-hmm.
But personally, it was really challenging.
COVID, people helped each other, they support each other. Now, after like how many, 4 years, 3 years after COVID, people stopped to support each other, or stopped to support local businesses, and what happened?
Mhm. Yeah, I'm so glad you brought this up. And I am so thankful you provided this platform for me to give my perspective of somebody that's had a business in Seattle for 7 years and for 5 years in Capitol Hill,
Yeah.
right? I've been in
Yes.
Capitol Hill for a minute, and not as an employee of a store, but as an owner and a commercial unit owner, right?
Mhm.
And Svetlana, what I think is everybody has different opinions, right? But I feel like there are amazing businesses in Capitol Hill that are successful, like Likelihood, like Late Night Vintage Market, like that Cat Cafe, Nico. They've
Yeah.
been prospering for they've been killing it. They're so successful, you know what I mean?
Really?
And yeah, and
Wow.
Late Night Vintage Market, I'm good friends with Gritty, who's the owner, one of the owners, and his store hasn't even been open for that long. They opened in like 2021, 2022, but they're doing amazing. So what I feel like, and this is just my opinion, and we can
Oh, of
agree to
course, of course.
disagree,
Yeah.
but I feel like as a business owner, attitude is so important. You can't just be like, Seattle, I'm bringing goods, like, you asked for it, so come support my business. I don't think that should be the attitude. I think, it should be like, more helping one another. You know what I mean? I think it's the approach that's so important. Like, stop expecting your community to help you. Why don't you help your community out first? Or like, you know what I'm saying?
So for
Yeah.
example, let's discuss it. So for example, so as a owner, you can offer to community what? You can create some events, right? Where people can come,
Mm,
or what can you offer as a owner? You know, what can you offer to the community? Can you give me some examples? Just what
yes.
came you in your
Yeah.
mind?
Yeah, I think number one thing is genuinely detail oriented and curious customer service. I think
Mm-hmm,
that's number one. Customer is king, but what a lot of these businesses are forgetting, and I understand it, as a business owner, you invest so much of your time and your energy and you put it out there and you expect your community to help out, right? I get that, but also the community has a life as well, and the
mm-hmm,
community is going through huge inflation, huge, massive job losses, their own personal issues. They're still recovering
mm-hmm,
from COVID. But as a business owner, I think it's very one sided. And I think
mm-hmm,
it's very close minded to be like, hey, I'm providing a great service. I have good customer service. Come to my store and expecting it. But just think in the customer's position. What can I do more to maybe help the customer rather than expecting or demanding the community to help out? Does that kind of make sense? So I think what I did really differently is every customer that came to my store, I'm actually genuinely really, really curious about them. So a
mm-hmm.
lot of customers are now my like good friends. And I think
Oh.
something important, and a lot of them said, hey, I walk around Capitol Hill. I went to that boutique, up the street, and the girls, like, they're being super snobby, and like they wouldn't
Mhm,
even ask me if I'm, visiting or local or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So,
mhm,
like, yeah, I think the most important thing I want to really like address is, I get, like, again, redundant, but as a business owner, yeah, you invest a lot of your time and your energy and you expect your community to help you. But I think that's a very wrong way to think of it. Like, you can't expect
mhm.
your community to support you all the time. Like, does that gonna make sense? I would just like,
Yes.
my business is doing better and try to fix something on me or the
Mm,
business, or change the focus and my energy on, like, what can I do better rather than, "Oh, why isn't the community helping me?"
mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yes, of course. Of
Yeah.
course, actually, yeah.
Sorry,
So,
I
but
get like very into this.
no, no, no. I'm just like learning from you, and actually, thank you for you sharing for your opinion.
Uh-huh.
I have an example in my original country. I'm from Russia,
Uh-huh.
and in Moscow, maybe do you know, like Moscow, St. Petersburg. So the local stores, the local fashion designers, I mean in Moscow, they started use Instagram as well and
Mm,
show their work about and tell about their work,
mm,
And before opening like a physical store, they trying to build their brand in Instagram, and
mm,
then when they become popular, then
mm,
they open a retail store. This is
mm,
how it worked in Russia, in Moscow.
mm.
I don't know it will work in here in Seattle, but
Uh-huh.
I can see the difference how Instagram is not used, how it can be used in real it can give a real profit.
Yeah.
But I see that people here especially the local businesses, they actually don't use Instagram.
Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because what, like, the business model you mentioned of what the local businesses do in Moscow is usually what businesses do in like LA and Seoul, and New York, all these emerging
Yes.
brands already create an audience, or they even do pop-ups in different cities before opening a retail store. That's usually the way to go. But I think Seattle, a lot of these stores that are closing, in my opinion, think these business owners are a little bit of a different generation. So they're kind of used to operating the store in the way pre-Instagram, customers would just come into the store, try things on, but now consumer behaviorism has shifted. So a lot of these business owners are like, "Ooh, now I need to spend more money and hire somebody to do social media." So I think that's like when sales aren't even getting up that much, so I think there's a lot of, as a business owner, you always need to be learning like what's trending. You always need to be ahead. You know what I'm saying? But I think a
Yeah.
lot of the business owners, they don't have the capacity to even invest in social media or think of that because they have a previous business model that worked. But obviously the time has changed. So,
Yes.
and as like, even for me, like while I was operating the store, I was just so busy just making sure that the store is okay, right? Like, is the windows broken? Like the
Yeah.
thefts, like everything. So I didn't have enough time to, invest in social media. But social media, I realize, is my connection with my customers. It's how I stay in touch with my clients, right? And a lot of customers in Capitol Hill are tourists, right? Because there's
Yes.
like Brooks River and stuff, and I always want to keep connection with them. But ever since I closed the physical store, I'm able to really focus on maintaining and nurturing these relationships with existing, new, or potential, customers. And that has already helped so much with online sales, right? And I'm
Yes.
it's so much easier. Like, think about it. Do I want to go to an actual store and stay there for 8 hours, or do I want to create content for 5 hours and make money while I sleep? You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So I think we
Yes.
all, as a business owner, need to be in trend and learning things like that. Another thing is like when I saw that post is like they want support from Seattle, but now the internet, we have e-commerce,
Right.
so with e-commerce, like you can be in Seattle, but the whole world is your customer base. So why are you only demanding Seattle community to support your business when the whole world is really your product? Like, why are you focused on one thing when there's somebody else on the other side of the world who's actually looking for exactly what you have? You know what I'm saying? So I think
Yes.
we change the focus, but I think some Seattle people, maybe I shouldn't say this, are very like, I'm just gonna say it, whatever, but they're very like ego driven. So it's like, oh, this is my business. So like, it's so amazing. That's what all entrepreneurs think. I thought that way too. But let me be really honest with you, Svetlana, about my store. And I think this is something that all business owners should know. Okay, some closed down, right? Our physical store, honestly, because our cash flow wasn't good enough. I'm going to be straight up, the amount of labor costs I was giving, and overhead is so high compared, and like my stress level was so high, right? Just what, and
Right.
because I'm not there anymore either. I'm now in Hawaii, right? So the main thing is the reason why the store closed down were many reasons, right? But to be really honest, I take a lot of responsibility on why some didn't hit the profit goals that we had, because I wasn't learning as much as I should every day. I didn't focus on my customers as much as I should. I was worried. I was too worried about like, oh, how's the store looking, or like, other things. I was focusing on how can I better my business so my customers will find the business more important. And I think the main thing that I want to say is it is heartbreaking and devastating for anybody to close their own
Right.
store, whether it's pivoting or moving or whatever it is. But the main thing I want to say is I take full responsibility on why my store isn't putting up a second store in Bellevue right now. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
don't think it's the Seattle community at all. The Seattle fashion community has nothing but nice to me. And I think when some wasn't even big, Seattle gave me an opportunity. Whereas if I was in LA or New York, I wouldn't even have a chance. You know what I'm saying? So
Yes.
I
Yeah.
think Seattle is great in a sense where anybody who likes fashion can have a go at it because the competition is not there. But from there, it's your choice as a business owner. Are you going to be just okay, it works, so I'm just gonna stay stagnant, or are you gonna continue to learn and grow your business? And one more thing is like I'm really taking this time to make sure now that every product that I put out there is something my customers would love, and making sure that all the designers and vendors that I work with in LA and Seoul, now they're getting a chance to share their story, right? Because I'm not a designer. I buy from all these different designers
Yes.
from Seoul and LA. So I'm really taking a step back to make sure the business can go so much bigger. So yeah, my main important thing is as a business owner, I think the only problem is you. Like, like
To
customers
be honest,
don't need to pay their money. Like imagine, like it's so hard to make a dollar. The customers are taking their hard-earned money and believing in your idea. Like, a dollar that they spend is a huge, huge thank you, I think.
Oh, by the way, I have just a question. So, are you
Yeah.
planning to grow your Instagram page or?
Yeah. So I'm not sure if you guys have already been noticing, but Jane, who is my social media marketing girl, who's all over our Instagram shop Samsel, her and I have been really putting our best foot forward to make sure all of our content is, activating and inspiring a lot of our existing new followers and customers. So we're really excited about that. And through Instagram, we're able to really market our pop-ups, right? So in June, we're
Right.
having a pop-up at Some in Seattle. And then in July, we're having our pop-up in Honolulu. And then in September, we're having it in New York. So we're really excited. We can now go to where our customers are rather than just waiting for them to come to one store in Seattle.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, this
Yeah.
is really great. And
And we're
so,
also doing like YouTube Shorts. That's in our summer
yes.
plan. So like YouTube Shorts, Instagram, obviously, and TikTok Shop are all just helping us a lot to get more followers, right? So yeah.
Oh, I hope it will grow very
Uh,
fast and bring
yeah,
you more clients and more customers.
yeah.
So thank you very much for the great discussion. And so it was really awesome. It doesn't matter that we don't answer all my questions, but we discussed very great topic, and maybe it will be useful for Seattle local people.
Yes, I hope so. Seattle's an amazing city. I love Seattle.
You do?